You know, the main issue with procrastination is, and the danger of procrastination is this formula for motivation: M equals E times I times V. Motivation equals expectancy times instrumentality times valence. And the first letter there, expectancy, what that means is, do you expect, you'll be motivated only if you expect you can do it. And so the longer you procrastinate, the more your expectancy will decrease, and you'll think, I've been thinking about this for years, but I've never quite been able to do it. It's very, very, very dangerous. What I try to do is, with the MEIV formula, when I get something in my head, I do a little micro action. So I was just swimming in the pool. Because, and no matter how long, it could be 5 minutes. I swam for 7 minutes, because I've had in my mind that one of my trainers is like, get some cardio in before you eat. I got all my food here, I got my books ready, got my breakfast. So he's like, do that. And most people think, I don't expect I'll be able to swim for an hour, so they never do it and they procrastinate. Well, just jump in the pool, go for 7 minutes. You want to start a business? People expect they can't start a big business like, Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, so they never start. Just start a little micro action. You take a little micro action, the next thing you know, you're actually increasing expectancy, which then gets you to instrumentality and balance, which is a whole other conversation. I'll be vlogging more about expectancy, instrumentality and balance. But you don't even get started on motivation if you can't get expectancy up. So you want to read more? You might not expect you could read a ton of books, but could you read for 7 minutes a day? I think you can see yourself doing that. That's micro actions. And whenever I do that, and that's why I've not had a huge problem with procrastination, because my mentor taught me that a long time ago. I saw him taking micro actions. And so now when he gets an idea in his head, he truly believes it's realistic for him to pull it off. And if you depend on your upbringing, who you grew up around, most of us don't get that, We get this idea that we'll always be dreamers but never be doers. Dangerous thought. Today I didn't get time to read my book. Got to stay on my book of the day schedule, so I'm going to read today multiple books. Stay tuned for some badass book notes for you. So I'm going to jump in the pool, get some sun. This app right here, D-Minder, tells you how many hours you should stay out in the sun. It's kind of badass. Oof, feeling good. You know why people procrastinate, and this is the danger of you procrastinating, is that in the motivation formula, motivation equals EIV. E times E times the first letter, E, expectancy, means do you expect you could have an impact? Do you expect you can do it? And so the longer you put it off, the more your expectancy will decrease. So it doesn't even matter about instrumentality and balance. I try to do something, even if it's just a little bit. Get an idea, I just try it, small. I want to go in the pool, just go in the pool, swim laps, 5, 6, 7 minutes. You want to get in shape, 5, 6, 7 minutes. You want to read a book, 3 minutes. Start a business, just start a little part-time side business. The more you can retrain your brain to start when you expect, the better.
This here is a damn good article in Huffington Post, How to Reduce Belly Fat. What I think is interesting, it says basically visceral fat, the fat under your stomach, is created when the combination of excess calories meets the hormonal influence of cortisol and insulin. So this is the big one, cortisol and insulin. I'll show you something it says. So belly fat is SS plus FT times ST. Starch and sugar combined with fat, and then when you add in, these hormonals, that's where you get this issue. But six-pack, P plus V times SI plus IE. SI is sleep. That's the big one, because basically if you go back up here, I thought this was interesting. It says that people don't realize cortisol is a schizophrenic hormone. It increases fat storage, but ironically it can also increase fat burning by stimulating the major fat releasing enzyme HSL. So it's by itself, it doesn't have much impact on belly fat unless it's hanging out with insulin. And when you have insulin, you get, they say, pouring gas on the fire. So right here, P plus V times SI times IE. So the SI is sleep, which gives you lowered cortisol and increased human growth hormone. The IE is intense exercise. They call it here. Here's the plan they give you. Breakfast, eggs, 10 bites or less of starch. You can see that there, but this is kind of cool. Oops. Damn iTunes. Circuit weight training. They say don't take structured rests. Instead, push until you can't and rest until you can. What they call rest-based training. And then, this is kind of interesting, walk. Walking is not exercise. It's a necessity to lower your cortisol. Sleep, they're recommending 8 to 10 hours a day. It's kind of a good little article. Don't always like Huffington Post, but I like this one. I was just working with some of my staff. We spent all these hours doing something, and they lost it. Belt and suspenders. Always have a backup plan for what you do. Expect things to get lost. My garden's getting ready to be harvestable. Some tomatoes. You always want to build some self-sufficiency into your food supply. Can't do it fully, but what you can do helps. Got some broccoli, leafy greens, tomatoes. My bees. There's a great thing about pollination, about sticking some herbs in your garden. You get the bees attracted for pollination. There's one. They say all the bees are dying off because of a certain type of pesticide, that Monsanto. There's a bee. But yeah, mixing up your garden a little bit helps, so that you get oh, there it goes, flying off. So you get that pollination effect. Some people are afraid of bees, which is crazy. Even if you get stung by a bee a little bit, they actually find it's good for preventing arthritis. Creates stimulus. Oh, look here. What do we got going? Some zucchinis? We got some green peppers. That plant needs some. Sean, that plant needs a little fertilizer right there.
Definitely.
This is all organic, by the way, but you need some organic fertilizer. Green peppers. I used to have commercial vegetable garden. Chef Sean, you harvesting that broccoli?
Yep, organic broccoli.
Yeah, got to get it before it's too ripe. It doesn't taste good.
Exactly.
Nice. I love broccoli. I'm headed over to the my guest house. I got a room in here. I call it my reading room. Make sure you have a dedicated room to read. I'm a little walkie-talkie. This house is kind of big, so use that to communicate with the staff. Get my reading in for the day. Have some water. Pick a book. There you go. Micro. If you can't read a lot, just read a little. Interesting book, Love Yourself. The basic central thesis is that you have to say to yourself over and over, you love yourself till you reprogram your subconscious. He says he went from totally depressed to just loving himself. Health came back, fitness, smiling, depression went away. He says don't worry about why you're insecure and don't love yourself. He says now just lay down new pathways, new neural pathways. Most of the time when we think we're thinking, we're not. We're just remembering. We're reliving patterns and familiar, memories. And he says you have to use a focus. Talking about literally just all day, he would say to himself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. His mind would wander, and he'd start, I love myself, in bed, in showering. I like this little section on meditation. He does 7 minutes with music. He gives the steps on how to do it. And he thinks about light. He said this activity keeps negative people around, because he says, if I love myself truly and deeply, would I let myself experience in this? And he would say no and get away from it. He says when it comes to love, why do we think that you always have to be in love with one person? You can just experience love. And he said once you fall in love with yourself, other people fall in love with you. He says most of us, it's like we have hallucinations. We don't see reality. Remind me of Plato in his famous story. But he says it's not all fun and games. He said sometimes even with this, he gets depressed. So he said when things are going well, don't let yourself coast. Work harder. He asked a monk the secret to peace. The monk said, say yes to all that happens. Say yes. Be present. Not being present brings pain. He says find your one thing. It doesn't have to be always meditating and saying I love myself, but find one thing and then place your bet on it and go all out. Interesting book. My take is be balanced with this. Avoid extreme ideologies. This isn't the solution for all problems, but it's one tool.
To some of the team on speaking. If you want to make money, speak in math terms. Maybe you don't think you're good at math. Get good, decent at it. All right, guess what time it is? NBA basketball. I invited some of the people from the office. Woo, what's up? Is it on? Let's go. Let's go. Game time. Who you got, Zach?
Cleveland.
Rome, who you got? Warriors. I got the Warriors. What you got, Andrew?
Bro.
Cavs are getting flustered. That's 2 shot clock violations, right?
Yeah, in just the first quarter.
Shit. Come on. Here we go. Look at the ref. The ref did a little back. They always bundle up. Why do they have to have these 4? Killing me. Why can't they have Charles Barkley, Shaq? These are not entertaining. This is what Herman brought me. He thought I was a dog. 2 huge bones. Although this does look good.
Hashtag bitch.
Oh, Bruce Lee action. The coach, Steve Kerr, is so mad he broke the dude. That's amazing. I've never seen that before. Hey, you hurt his hand. Nova always is doing dirty stuff. Those Australians. Boom.
Follow Dr. Fresco.
Hey, move. Man, James missing layups. Steph Curry. Oh, look at that no-look pass. They're destroying. God. Cavs better get it together. So explain this to me. They're up by 20, and the coach changes the lineup. Why would you change? And now they're catching up. Why would you do that? I got a question. This is Steph Curry's wife, and this is his mom. Look at his mom. Look how young his mom looks. 9-104. Cavs beat them. Cavs lose. Sorry, Golden State beats them. I don't know how. I don't always say their names backwards. Zach, climb this rope.
No.
Please. This would be the greatest day of my life if you attempt. Oh, let me see that. Zach, that was the worst swing in history.
All right, I'll do it for real this time.
Zach's getting adjusted. I'm going to give him a special adjustment. You see, you look like a hamster. You're like the, what's the one, the where you go, the Pillsbury Doughboy. Oh, he got me back. Zach's getting good. All day, hours a day. Love yourself, I love myself, I love myself. And he said after 30 days, he reprogrammed his mind. It's kind of an interesting concept. I'm getting ready to train with Master Rafael Cordero. Trained a lot of the top MMA fighters. He's a black belt. And Aaron's going to spar with Rome.
Primarily if they can't stand up. Yeah. I think if you're doing this type of
Be careful on the rug, Andrew. Thinks I'm actually mean to Zach. Zach just likes the attention. We're buddies.
I'm actually mean to people too, so.
Oh, when Zach gets grumpy, it's PMS all over again. So Zach, going back to, I'm doing some chiropractic here. You were saying about Trump versus Hillary. I was saying that I saw Hillary said Trump because he's being sued for Trump you know, that he's a fraud. And he wrote back on Twitter, he cracked me up. He goes, I have been sued, 400 lawsuits, and I've only lost 30. He goes, I'm a winner, or something like that. I thought that was the greatest comeback. Even if you don't like Trump, you have to be like, damn, this guy is fearless. Now, what did you say you liked about Trump?
Well, I like the fact that he's taken a fight to the media. I'm tired of politicians that that allow the media to intimidate them.
And
at least
Rome,
on
you
my
said-
side of the aisle.
Rome hates Trump, and what'd you say?
I still like him. I think he's a racist. I think he's divisive. I think he's able to get away with a lot of stuff that the average person couldn't get away with. I think he speaks for a lot of racist people.
Do you think he's really racist?
I don't
It's
think
a
he's
modern day
bro.
racist.
But do you think he's racist, or he just
See,
does that to
when-
get
when
attention?
When you guys think racist, I'm not saying it in a tone that he doesn't like black people or he doesn't like Mexicans. Not racist like that. It more of a
Because it seems like he hates everybody. If you hate everybody, you can't be racist.
He's a humanist.
I don't feel like
He doesn't
I
hate
don't feel
beautiful
like
women.
Yeah, he doesn't hate beautiful women.
Did you hear Obama's comeback at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where Obama goes, Donald Trump has a lot of global diplomacy experience. He's interviewed Mrs. Finland, Mrs. Australia. That was funny. I'll tell you one thing. Damn, Obama knows how to roast people. Did you ever see the roast of Donald Trump by Obama? Where remember that Donald Trump said Obama wasn't born in the U.S.? And you didn't see that where Obama said, I'm going to release the actual story of my
I remember the
birth?
story, but
And then he did Lion King?
I don't think it was most of them.
You never saw
What
that?
was it? Trump's roast? 'Cause
Yeah, it
Trump was
wasn't
roasted.
No, it was at the White House Correspondents. and
He just spoke about
Woo! Trump was
in the
done.
crowd, right?
I'm glad our conversation, Aaron, is that fascinating that she turns her back and butt to us. He's like, you know how much? Are you filming me? Film you?
No.
She's from Australia, so she's not big on
Basically,
American.
like, this is what I think of your conversation.
I've never seen somebody do that. Zach. What was that, Zach?
I said she basically said, "This is what I think of your conversation."
Zach,
That's fart.
how old are you, Zach?
I'm as old as my tongue and a little older than my teeth.
What does that even mean? What do you think about the gorilla, Harambe?
Well, I think the zoo did exactly what they're supposed to do, and for anybody who says different is a jackass. Because if it was their child in that cage, they would expect the same thing to happen. Period.
But what do you think about the argument that this exposes the fact that... Can you hold this, Adrian? This exposes the fact that there's, a problem, that there's even zoos that babies can fall into like this.
You know what? Why not just build a net around those types of displays?
Yeah, it's expensive, maybe.
Yeah, it's not that down.
Did you
I mean,
just invent something?
A net.
You said, did you
Why not just put a net around it so if a kid does fall?
Or why not just put the rails like glass? Because the kid, I think, went between the rails. But have you been to some of these zoos in little towns? They're old. I'm telling you, they don't have that much money.
Well, this was Cincinnati. So this was a well-financed zoo and well-run. I think it's one of the.
Do you have a gorilla? Typically, like gorillas are like in the top zoos, like
Right.
high-end zoos.
And also the thing was, you weren't. Somebody was saying, I don't know if it was an animal expert. They were saying you were not going to get that kid back.
Yeah,
there was
because
no
it
way
was
you're going to
put
get
between
in
legs.
and try to be nice to the gorilla and
Well, no, they
trick it
tried.
and
They
get it.
tried, and all the other gorillas left, the females. But the male, he was like defensive of
And
the
they
baby.
said if he would have got tranquilized, they didn't know how he would have.
Yeah,
Up
he
to
might
30
have.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It takes a while for it to even take an effect.
It's not like
They,
movies.
Well, even in
widen-
30 minutes,
yeah,
if a
right.
gorilla just falls asleep on the baby, you kill him.
Right.
400-pound
Yeah.
gorilla. Well, I thought gorillas were 800 pounds. I was talking about 800-pound gorilla.
No, that was like 400.
Well, two
That's
gorillas
silverbacks.
back to back are 800 pounds.
They always say the 800-pound gorilla. Now, Zach, a serious question. When are you going to join in? We're doing all this fitness stuff. When are you going to make the commitment?
Well, I've already committed to starting it. I'm just not at the point now where I can do any sparring.
Zach
I'm
has
at
been
the
committed
I'm at
to
the
starting for
I'm at the
several
early
years.
stages. No, I'm at the early stages of getting back. into
Zach
the
likes a
routine.
slow commitment, Ladies, he won't try to marry you right away. He
I
likes
want
a
to do
slow
my
commitment.
research.
He wants to research getting in shape. Is this actually good for me?
Right. This is-
Zach, this is a contentious.
They say beer makes you fat, but I don't know about that.
Zach, do you believe in global warming, Zach?
I believe in the natural global warming. I don't.
But do you believe
subscribe to
in that
man-made.
humans are causing global
No.
warming?
One thing I learned, I
What
was
do scientists say, Ty?
Not irreparable.
most scientists think it's man-made, from what I understand. Not all, but
But they're,
I'll tell you one thing that I learned in Europe: people don't like Donald Trump. Oh my God! When we were in Norway, imagine that. You can't even say this dude's name without people. And I will tell you, I'm not really that political, but I do believe you need your president to be a ambassador. He's the ultimate ambassador of your nation. So when I
ugly American.
when I was in New Zealand, when I was in New Zealand in early 2000, what year was Clinton president?
93, January of 93 to
2000? When I was, people loved Bill Clinton. Oh man, you used to say you're an American. When I was in New Zealand, people would go, Bill Clinton, we love you. And then once Bush came and you traveled, it turned overnight.
Don't you think that had to do it with character? The character of Bill Clinton versus the character of Donald Trump?
Or do you mean like personality? Because I don't think Bush is a bad character of a person.
The first Bush.
I
and
like
second
the
Bush.
first Bush.
The second, in other words, I don't think he's an evil,
No,
like,
none of these guys
dishonest,
are evil.
like-
I don't think Donald Trump's evil.
Well, I don't think Donald Trump is not. I think
No
Donald
one's
Trump
evil.
is arrogant. I think he's arrogant.
Yeah,
And when I say
but
he's
he's not
the epitome of ugly American, I think
He's not
other people from
Hitler.
other countries look at us as Americans as supreme. That we sometimes we think we're supreme.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
and Donald Trump will make that worse.
He exudes that.
Yeah.
He exudes that because he's a billionaire and he's cocky and he's arrogant. I think people on the outside see that and say, "Wow, this is the president. Like he won't follow any rules. He'll do what he wants to do because he can."